What is up, guys and girls, both, all you badasses out there watching this debate. Today or tonight, wherever you might be, you're going to be watching Bjermen go up against Combat Lightning in an inverse Bleach situation. We have Combat Lightning representing Sōsuke Aizen, and we have Bjermen representing Kisuke Urahara. So without further ado, I'm gonna let these two badasses state their premises and get down to business.
Yeah. So my premise is that Kisuke will use anything in his arsenal to.
My premise is that Aizen will use anything in his arsenal to help him.
Okay. You're fine with me starting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So for stats, I'd scale Kisuke to Aura, as they directly fought and were comparable. And in that fight, not only is it stated Kisuke was using the strategies he put up against Hogyuku Aizen, but he also makes sure to even test if she's on that level, implying he's not exactly sure. And I'd say that would at least put her comparable to, if not a little above, what base Aizen is, since he has to actually check if she's comparable to a stronger one or not, and he can't just rule that out immediately. Just so everyone knows what I'm specifically referring to, I'm gonna just post scans in Scan Zone 69. And obviously, there's another statement again supporting the idea that she, like narrative-wise, should be comparable to Aizen. Kisuke notes that she's using like Fullbring on a scale comparable to Aizen's Hakuda and Kido. I think they were specific words. So they're basically narratively hyping her up as at least being on Aizen's level, with constant comparisons in her abilities, and then making sure her power isn't on that a higher scale either. Any contentions with Kisuke at least scaling? Of course, this was Shika Kisuke, by the way. I think you know that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Any contentions with this scaling chain? Or
Let me just kind of skim through this really quick.
yeah, sure. I can post the one for her having like comparable scale with the Fullbring as well if you want. But that's like the one's most famous comparison between them, so I'm not sure if you remember it by head.
Yeah, yeah, this is like the only this is like the only scaling chain that can be used to have Kisuke be compared to Aizen at that point.
Yeah.
But it's like when they say that that he's using like the same tactics that he used against like the Hogyuku fused Aizen, do you know which one that's referring to?
Uh, so there's mix. It's implied to be Chrysalis due to the techniques he uses, but he also uses some techniques he used on just the first transformation. So it's mainly just referring to Hogyuku in general, the one he fought, which so like first form when he's just beginning to transform up until Aizen gets serious and just beats the fuck out of all of them. That seems to be like the versions of them he's being comparing here to and saying she's weaker, but he still had to make sure.
It's like do you know why exactly Kisuke used similar strategies he's against Sora, like the one that he used like against the Aizen that was just beginning to transform?
Well, so he was basically aware of her shit. So he used everything because he couldn't rule anything out due to how dangerous she was. But when he starts using like the Kido, specifically Hado 91, that's like when he's making sure it's the power. So that's like the one before is more so just support narrative that yeah, he's treating her as that level, and the one next is just her showing an actual feat that he she only not only takes this keto, but she also is then oh yeah, thankfully she's not on that level. It's like how for example, we know Aizen was 100% sure that if in a straight up fight he pull up on Yama, he'd lose. Here it's like Kisuke isn't even sure if Aura would pull up in a straight up fight to a higher form of Aizen and lose. He has to check, implying there's at least some level of unsurety on how strong she is, but that he does have a range for how strong base Aizen is, and he does know, yeah, the higher forms are just superior. So he can make an accurate guess of, well, if she's stronger than base or comparable, and she can't do that, then she's weaker than that. But if she was actually weaker than the fur or base, he wouldn't even need to check, since he does know how to read power with Ryatsu and all.
Yeah, he can like read the power with like the Ryatsu,
Yeah.
with the Ryatsu and stuff. But like, I would still say that she in herself is like still weaker than like base Aizen before like any of her transformations. Since like when she got hit by like the Hado 91 spell like where it's being compared to like a Grande Zero that's able to distort space and shit, which she got hit by that dead on. But like in that one and the one with Aizen were like where they were similar, but they were also rather different as well. Like the one was because Aizen just was just much more powerful at that time. But the thing with Aura is because he was using like the distortion of space enchanted at full power, even though it has been stated that he can do that without any chance. It's but like with the spatial distortion, that's because at that point, she was using her intangibility where she was turning herself into a cloud of smoke from her entire body. So he used that one because of the fact that his and Shuhei's Zanpakuto were melee physical types, and Kisuke said that if they had like elemental types like Rukia's, Toshiro's, then that would have been the best counterattack. But their Zanpakutos were the worst types to go up against her. That's like why he used that level of keto.
Well, I'd say
Because like even then,
that's
like
not the only reason,
because like
because we know weaker characters have like their raw Ryatsu can do the exact same thing. That's directly shown in Spiritual Forever with You, with Kenpachi literally using just so much Ryatsu that him fighting is ripping like holes in Garganta and shit. And CN also does that, like showing just raw Ryatsu can do it, and Kisuke has way more Ryatsu than they. Since I mean, Kenny got absolutely god stomped by uh, is it Lloyd or Royd? I can't remember the name. But
Freud.
oh yeah, and then you just have no mentions or like implications that he should be anywhere near the god like the royal guard, which is what Kisuke scales do. Things like the Schutzstaffel literally stated to be like the peak of the Quincy, with the exception of Grammy, of course. And Lil Taro was well aware of Lloyd. He's like, yeah, these people are completely unbeatable. And then Kisuke scales to those, so he has definitely got the Ryatsu to do space shit as well, so it can't just be that reason he used it. He also uses a stronger Kita later in the fight with 99, which he never even tries against Aizen. And find
because
it
like
like, yeah,
the only reason why is because that there were people that you can argue got in the way because of like Ichigo, Yoruichi, and the Ishin, and also because at that point Aizen became a fuck ton more powerful than before.
yeah. I'm not saying like him using 99 on Aura and not on like Aizen means he's stronger, but it shows that like he's fully willing on just using whatever the fuck he needs in terms of raw power, and the fact that Aura then actually tanks this, or well, not tanks, but she takes like no physical damage, which is noted, and the only like, yeah, she's still affected and all, which is why he reaches his conclusion, and he's directly referring like, yeah, she's thankfully not that strong. So it seems to be like when he's using
Yeah,
ki
but it's like
though, he uses it to compare her as well as he is fighting, which is how he does always. Like he always fights that way, analyzing everything. So I'd say he's just using this to get a range and deal damage at the same time.
it's like the one that came like when it was said that she's not on that he was relieved that she wasn't on the same level as Aizen. Like that's like really more so like the one that came from Shuhei. Like when even he noticed that her spiritual pressure, like there's even like an implication that she was tired when she got hit by that.
Yeah, she didn't tank it. That's why it's directly like,
But
yeah, she's not that strong, right? So if she just took no damage, they'd actually have a question of is she as strong? Because that's what Aizen did. Like he took no damage, but since she took damage, they're actually figuring out, yeah, she's not that strong, and that's pretty clear. Consistently, she's not transcendent like that Aizen was. So her being weaker
definitely not.
than Chrysalis and all the, or well, I guess first form is pretty clear, but it's still like, yeah, they have to note actually that she is weaker. They can't just instantly see her and be like, yeah, she's weaker than that guy.
Yeah, since like they're not exactly like that. Since like Aura is like really fucking good at controlling Koreatsu, and like Shuhei isn't exactly like the best sensory type.
Well, Kisuke has his raw intelligence shows like he would be able to just deduce her power by looking at her, even if
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
this
yeah. I know
Aizen
that. Like I was just more so like
still.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just more so like, yeah, I was more so like saying that like that Shuhei wasn't
Oh
exactly
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
that's
best
fine.
sensory type.
Yeah, Shuei's sensing is, well, it's decent, but obviously I'm not saying he was able to like sense her full power or anything. But Kisuke definitely needed to, and he's still like using shit that's reliant on he did against Aizen. Like he can't just use raw power, which I mean he doesn't do that too often, but here he's actually being
No,
serious
that's
and not just trolling.
yeah, I know. Since like Kisuke is not like the raw power type at all.
Yeah,
Like that's rarely his style.
yeah, it's
Like
not
I
like
think like the only time he did that was like against Askin.
he did against Aizen as well. When Aizen's like, oh,
Eh,
so your fucking tricks didn't work. Well, time to raw
Yeah,
power
but
this shit. But yeah,
yeah, but I meant more so like that's the one that Kisuke used the
yeah,
most.
yeah, that's fine. But yeah, like, so here he's actually relying on his tricks and being serious, which obviously, like, the only times he does that is when it's an actual threat. For example, asking
It's like
the threat because you can't fucking kill the dude, right? Like, his hacks is retarded. So he obviously took him as a threat. Aizen he took as a threat for obvious reasons, but then, like, when he doesn't see you as a threat, he just toys around like what he did to Yami. When he's like, oh, Aizen's
I
gonna be
was
mad
literally
at you.
I
Yeah,
was literally about to mention that.
yeah. So, like, here he's being serious, using the same shit, and we can get like since that's actually brought up, we can deduce that they aren't bringing up something irrelevant, right? That has to be a good reason as to why they're specifically mentioning he's using the same shit he did on Aizen. Alone, and then they're constantly bringing up comparisons to Aizen between him and her, like constantly. And it makes some narrative sense as well, since like they have similar statements, such as like Tokinada being goddamn fodder compared to them. And same time, Tokinada's like, well, if I go in with Kisuke, he one-shots. I can't do shit. I don't want to go near that guy because he's gonna
Yeah,
kill me.
except like Tokinada. Yeah, except like he said that was he said that to both him and Aura.
Yeah, but he's pretty clear that yeah, he can't do shit. Along with that, we just have Aura also. Goddamn stomping all over Tokinada even when weakened. Like she's so much stronger than him that while he's draining her power, she's still strong enough to neg his Sanpakto. So they
Oh, she
have
did?
sim. Yeah, I can get that if you want, but he couldn't use Kyoka because she was negging it when weakened. So like,
That's a W.
yeah, she was massively, which is very similar to what Aizen gets, where they're like, yeah, this guy's fodder to and Yama. They get like constant statements as well that they are on that league where these characters are fodder, and then the characters they are compared to is Aizen level. Obviously, they're all compared and like basically weaker than Yama, but that's no surprise. So like, I'd say the only range they are given is they can all just god stomp Tokinada level characters, and then them being compared to each other, implying they're somewhere like in the same range. With then you have the feats and like the strategies. Her being like, oh yeah, she's not as strong as that form. Like they seem to be telling us a lot that she should be on Aizen level. With
Okay,
one of
so like
that being
how
Kisuke
exactly are like
himself.
yeah, so like the last question that I have like with that is like what exactly are you like going with that level? Like are you going like like having a current key scaling directly to Aizen or
uh, I'd say at least relative, possibly stronger since he has to check on if she's strong, like as strong as Crystal. Either one, but at least relative. And if stronger, it'd be an unquantifiable.
yeah, pretty much.
And obviously, this for Shikai only, since his Shikai is directly stated power amp. And Shikai and above, I guess.
Yeah, 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 I know.
And obviously, I think we can both agree that these characters have both AP and have nothing to worry about them being able to hurt and move.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's just do something funny. Let's just only have the skill where they're able to like the dodge and the Nagasium light.
Yeah, they scale to Soul Side Arc Shuhei. That's fine. We can agree about scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, so that's where I'd say Kisuke would scale in Shikai. And obviously he uses like Shikai always whenever he gets into a fight.
Yeah, yeah, he literally even used it against fathers like Yami.
Yeah, that's like, oh yeah, gotta fight the father, bring out the Shikai. It's better than the Kane.
It literally did it against Lupi, although that was like more so for like a long range attack.
Yeah, but he did it against Ulquiorra and Yami as well, like both times he fought Yami. So he breaks it always out. So I'd say he'd actually like basically start with that. The only time he
Yeah,
does it
pretty
is
much.
against Askin, and then he goes straight to Bankai. So he's either gonna start with Shikai or Bankai. Most likely Shikai, since Base Aizen isn't gonna fucking kill him with his presence, like Askin was.
Yeah, they were pretty much just be staring into each other's eyes.
Yeah,
Kisuke looking at Aizen's beautiful hair gel, hell, and Aizen wondering where he would get that level of swag.
yeah, the hat's too cool. Yeah, but that's my scaling.
Yeah, I'm fine with this.
Okay. So since we scale to each other, there's no need to go over Aizen scaling. But you want to start with wing cons or should I?
Uh, I guess I could start with like my win cons.
Sure.
Okay, so for my first win con, Aizen's gonna use the Kurohitsugi Hado on Kisuke.
Mm, full incantation or not?
No incantation, because if he did full incantation, then he would know that that would give Kisuke way too much time to attack him all at once. So like the goal here is to like immediately trap Kisuke in this black box and have like the gravity distort enough to it so that it slashes him from head to toe. Like he was pretty much even willing to use this against fathers like Komamura.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna ask if he'd use this, but yeah, as you said, he immediately straight on like Komamura, so he does use it. Pretty sure that's his overall favorite Kido, so I'm fine
It
with it.
literally is.
Um, let's see. I'd argue Kisuke would just already know that shit's gonna happen and just not let him by canceling the Kido like he did to Yami's attacks. Since he can just cancel shit when he actually knows how it's structured, and we all know he knows how Kurihitsugi functions since he knows every Kido in the book. So I'd say he'd be able to tell that specifically because he has knowledge on Aizen. Like, they have been aware of each other for like over 100 years. Kisuke is very much aware of his shit. Knows how he fights as well, since that's directly brought up in the Karakura Town battle. So I'd say he'd be more than knowledgeable enough to figure out that he might start with Kurohitsugi and get ready to actually counter it.
Uh, for like that one, can you like show again on like how exactly Kisuke would like that, like what you
Uh,
did with Yami's Bala?
so he does it in two different ways. Since this one would be close, like closer to the technique itself, I'd assume he'd do it in the same way he did against Yami. Since he can't just like this isn't a traveling attack, but he can do it with just firing his attack as well, since that's what he did to negate Yami's Zero. Like he does it two times against Yami, which is great. He just bullies him all the time. You want the one for him negging Bala, which is the one I'm referring to, or just both?
Either one.
Okay, I'm just get the one with the Bala then. Get this chapter. Just gotta get the specific one so that you don't have to go through the entire chapter.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so here it is. He does it twice. Once he directly just says, "Oh, I've seen that technique once. It won't hit me again," and he has seen Kurihitsugi. He's used it himself since he'd obviously have to use it to practice. I'm gonna give both since here's the one of like the first time where he says, "Oh, that's not gonna work on him again," and here's the other one. And he does note this isn't due to power, he just knows how to cancel them.
Oh yeah, this is like when Kisuke even like suppressed himself to that level, right?
Yes. And he directly knows he can dodge or cancel it. Like, so obviously, if he figures that he wouldn't be able to cancel this shit, he just dodged it instead. That's directly an option he can do, and he did it against Yami the first arrow. And that one he notes it wouldn't hit him, implying he evaded or stopped it before it hit him. But
And he will be able to cancel out the gravity distortion inside the Kurohitsugi, right?
yeah, he should be able to do that. We've seen other characters be able to handle that. Like Komamura wasn't negged by it or anything. Well, he was negged, but like he wasn't killed. And he was
Yeah, that's right.
vastly inferior, so Kisuke should be able to handle that.
Yeah, yeah, sure thing. I can accept that as a counter.
Okay. Um, so I'd argue Kisuke would actually just start prepping for and putting those seals on that he used on Hogyuku. Like, at least start putting them during, so that at least one point in the fight he'd be able to get the other seal on. So basically, my win con is Kisuke's just gonna start prepping the fuck out of him. And these are the ones. And the last one is specifically Aizen admitting, like, if he did not have the Hogyuku, he would die. Like, that shit would just kill him immediately. The anime makes it more blatant because it says it would kill anyone. And he's directly fought Yama and being like, yeah, Yama, you're stronger than me. So he knows of Yama's power. And then he says, oh, this shit's gonna kill any Shinigami. So the anime just further supports that this shit is well above Aizen. But it's a higher range, but it this one technique can just kill him. Even higher forms of him. If not for the Hogyuku and all.
So like the thing with those COs is that like Kisuke would have to like get in good direct contact with Aizen to like touch both of his wrists.
Yeah, he wouldn't do that instantly. I'm not gonna just assume Aizen's dumb enough to let him, since Kisuke on his own admitted he wouldn't. But Kisuke knows of this shit, like, he knows Aizen's style, and he would definitely start prepping for this, since this is one sure way he has. Like, this is a 100% chance success rate if he hits it, according to Aizen himself. So,
I would argue that, since this isn't like Hogyuku Aizen, and like in Kisuke's own words, he said that Aizen would never let him do anything like that, and Aizen would know also about Kisuke's style since he fought him and Tessai at the same time, and they both had like 100 years of knowledge about each other, and he even knows of Kisuke like becoming a captain.
yeah. Well,
And like and
yeah,
like yeah, Aizen should be able to see this coming. Like it's like like Aizen knows that the Kisuke is not the type to go down in like a power against power fight. Like he knows that the man is gonna be preparing something. Sealing isn't exactly actually out of the possibility for him to do that, and he knows that this would be a Kisuke's type.
yeah, I'm fine with that. I'd argue, like, this is something Kisuke could do whenever he gets close. Basically, like, he could get in close himself with Jumpo or whatever, or you start prepping. Like, I'm not saying he's just gonna do this in like a moment. It's like a long-term win con us. The longer the fight goes on, the more chance Kisuke's gonna get in both of them. So like, he can do whatever the fuck he wants while still prepping with this. Because all he needs is just touching him twice. And
It's
yeah,
like even then, like
as also you mentioned, like, he'd be expecting sealing or be aware of the possibility, which, yeah, that's fine. But this type of sealing has like never been used before, to our knowledge. And even
Yeah, because
Mayuri and like the Soul Society, like the Mukin and all that shit, they never even considered this a possibility of, well, should we test this? Like Kisuke's just the only one that thought, wait, we can just make them kill themselves with their own power. So like, yeah, he didn't probably be expecting stealing, but I wouldn't say he'd be expecting this kind of stealing. This is
oh,
like
so I'm
it's an
not. Oh,
unprecedented
so I'm not
thing.
saying he would. Yes, it's like I'm not saying he would expect that specific type of ceiling, but like he knows that Kisuke would come up with some kind of bullshit that's out of the box. What the Soul Society would come up with, which for their standards isn't really much.
Well, there's Mayuri, I guess, but yeah, that's fine. I'd still say he would be able to like prep for this and eventually get it in, unless Aizen kills him before. But since I'm not gonna claim Kisuke can do it even if he's dead.
Let's see what else to do. But it's like yeah, like I can accept the part that Kisuke that like I would just argue that that Aizen wouldn't be able to be touched twice. So like this would pretty much drastically depend on like how this debate goes.
Hmm, that's fine. I'd say this is something he
It's
can
a
do, and
50-50
yeah,
chance.
yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna increase this chance as the fight goes on. So
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same.
yeah, so at least 50-50 now, but yeah, I'm gonna make sure this gets high. You can go to yours then.
Oh, what else to do? Let's see. Okay, so for my second win con, I'll say that Aizen is gonna use his Kyokai Suigetsu.
Okay. I would argue that at this point we know Aizen's aren't like completely like foolproof. Like so, as we saw Yama like actually figure out how to get a sense for if if it's an illusion or not. And I'd argue since Kisuke is more intelligent, he would have the knowledge that Yama did, because like all the knowledge from those fights seems to be recorded or just given in because Shuhei knows the shit Kisuke used. And Yama's like, at least since he is at least like comparable, they can damage each other. We know it's not just purely raw power, and him actually referring to it, he seems to be talking more of, yeah, I'm just that good at sensing. And we know Kisuke should at least be able to replicate such a feat based on his intelligence and sensing. Especially with all the planning, there's no way he wouldn't have actually started thinking of ways to counter Kyoka if he had to fight him, since he specifically started prepping for fighting him. So I'd say he would have at least be able to somewhat replicate Yama's feat of figuring out what's real and what isn't, even with only his Shikai. And if that doesn't work, I just say he goes Bankai and just reconfigures his senses, since he's done that before. Like start changing them up, since that's what he did with his eyes. Like he changed his eyesight, like that sense. we also know like he can sense the others, change the others, since reconstructing like everything, including space and shit, which we know like affecting space is a more fundamental thing to affect in Bleach, since that requires a higher level of Ryatsu, and we know the more Ryatsu like degrees, the more fundamental your power gets, and literally first arc Ichigo was able to affect senses with raw Ryatsu. Let's say Kisuke's Bankai should be able to do the same, and then change up his senses if that's necessary. To at least throw Aizen's Yoka off. Plus, I'm not
Went
sure if
on for so
Aizen would
long
even
that
know of the Bankai since he's never used it, so he probably isn't experienced with people just fucking up with their own senses and changing them.
okay, you actually went on for so long that I thought you were pulling a Bendis Bible.
Damn. How dare you?
Okay.
Understandable.
I mean, look at the bright side. This was at least entertaining to hear.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, any questions?
Yeah, first of all, put the shotgun down away from my home. I can see you.
Yeah, that's done. But yeah,
Okay, so uh, you're basically saying that since what Yama was able to do, and Kisuke can just literally do way better. Like that's basically your argument in a nutshell, right? Like just in
not
case I don't comment
exactly.
you.
My summary would
I
be,
know.
yeah, I'm gonna summarize it since we don't have to go over all that again. But basically, Isuke's ability to actually sense shit and his just knowledge on Kyoka being a thing would mean he's definitely prepared for this possibility. He knows this one way works, so he's definitely way more than actually aware that he should learn how to do. And we know when Kisuke sets out his mind to learn shit, like he does that. And since he preps for absolutely every possibility, that would include the possibility of Aizen breaking out of Mugen. And since he's already under Kyoka, the only thing he could do is find a way to actually see through it. And just sensing what's real is one of them. And he can take this to an even higher degree with his Bankai if that's absolutely necessary.
Okay, so I would say that Aizen in a sense was toying with Yama since he was confident, since like he was still confident that it wouldn't even be like his Kiyoka, yokai that would just end Yamamoto. Like he had Wonder Wise by his side to cancel out his flames and then get absorbed. But since he's facing someone who's far more intellectually superior here compared to Yamamoto, I would just say that Aizen wouldn't exactly just carelessly attack him like what he did with Yama.
Yeah, it's fine. However, we do know Yama, like, his was he wouldn't ever actually sense like the thing stabbing him, he could never see that as fault. Like he automatically just know, like due to how good his sensing is. And we know Kisuke can actually just extend that to way better ranges, either through just raw intelligence or cosmic awareness. Either one works. We've seen him do that in multiple situations. One of them is him literally precogging the entire Soul Society arc because he figures out the exact place they would be returning to and at the exact time with no one
And the,
informing him.
the two entire arcs were literally just Aizen and Kisuke playing chess with one another.
Yeah, so like we know he's able to actually at least expand his senses and shit, and at least seems to be prepared for it. And we know he is very capable of upgrading strategies. He does that all the time. So, like, I'd say he definitely have the ability to actually do what Yama did, but probably at a higher level and like extend it to what's not stabbing him due to his intelligence, and that he has just shown doing that through intelligence, but now he'd be able to mix it with sensing as well.
So I would say that Aizen, for like his own intellect and his sensory, so he would be able to affect the Ryatsu sensei as well, since this is kind of the thing that he was able to bamboozle Unohana with when she made two arbitrary assumptions that he would hide somewhere, which is still funny to this day. And the fact that he created like an actual artificial doll that she thought legit had Ryatsu in it for a while.
Yeah, he can definitely trick Ryatsu sensing. I have no problems with that. However, we do know there's a limit to it, considering he couldn't perfectly replicate his own. Since, well, okay, the Unohana's one wouldn't be since she noticed other flaws, but Yama did notice, like, it's not the exact same. There are slight differences, and any difference is, like, he's just gonna pick that shit up. Like, he does that. If there's any small difference, he takes note of that and makes that into an assumption as this is definitely a possibility, and then he prepares for it. That's constantly stated.
Yeah,
Thousand Year Blood War makes it clear that any possibility, no matter how small, he will prepare. So if he senses there's even a possibility of that being false, he's gonna prepare for that being false, and then be fully
yeah,
ready to actually deal with it.
yeah. So I would just say that Aizen would prepare for Kisuke for preparing him and for preparing that there would be flaws. This is literally what it is about. Don't lie.
True. I just say Kisuke would do that better since Aizen admits even fake Karakura Town Kisuke is more intelligent. And he says it once, obviously, when he goes like fucking it's up against being sealed, and he's like, yeah, you're the one person that is more intelligent than me. And then he also says like, oh yeah, you're the one person in Soul Society that could rival my intelligence. So like he says Kisuke is at least comparable, and then like later on he confirms, yeah, when he's saying rival, he's actually saying Kisuke can do it better. And we do know this since he literally started preparing for everything. Plus, Yuha also seems to actually think Kisuke is more intelligent, since he specified Aizen as just Ryatsu, and he doesn't seem to give a fuck about Aizen in any way, except, hey, will you join us? And when Aizen says no, he's like, okay, fuck off then. And then Kisuke, he's like, we're gonna fucking die if we plan against this guy. He's gonna figure out ways to counter that shit. There is no hope of actually outsmarting him. So he seems to deal way
That is,
more of a threat with just uh, Kisuke's raw intelligence over Aizen's danger to him. So I'd say, like, that's a possibility that he's just gotten more intelligent, but since Can't Figure Out World is like the third oldest version of Kisuke we've seen, I'd say he's definitely able to do that. Like, he's just at least comparable to in intelligence to what he can do in the Thousand Year Blood War. And there he seems to actually not be threatened at all. Plus, he also outsmarts the Quincy and just builds and becomes more intelligent as he learns more and more and adapts to new
I mean, I was just,
strategies.
I was just jokingly saying that him outsmarting the Quincy for their standards isn't. It's like warm-up matches.
Well, I mean, he did
Like,
outsmart Yuha, so Yuha seems to admit that even he can't outsmart Kisuke, so that's pretty.
yeah, 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 but but it's like a, the thing with with Aizen admitting that Kisuke is more has more intelligence. Like at that moment, like I don't think it's quantifiable at all to know like how much smarter Kisuke is than him.
Yeah, I'd say in that arc we can't, but it seems like, yeah, Kisuke just gets more intelligent. Because it goes from Aizen and Kisuke are rivals in intelligence, since Aizen's like, we can tell they're rivaling at that point since Aizen's like, you rival my intelligence. He doesn't say Kisuke gobstomps him, and they only then admits, yeah, you're superior to me. But he doesn't quantify it. Then in the Thousand Year Blood War, Yuha pulls up and he's like, Aizen, we can ignore him. Like, fucking leave him alone. No one cares about that guy. Kisuke, he's gonna break our entire army because he's intelligent as fuck. So like, even though Aizen should by every measure of imaginable be superior, since he's got all the Ryatsu he needs to actually make up for a slight difference.
Honestly,
Yuha just
I would
seems
just
to
argue
say,
that you
does
walk.
not matter. Like, Kisuke's just more intelligent. That's more of a threat to us than Aizen's power. And that when he makes
Yes,
that, he doesn't have his All Might or anything. So even when weaker than Aizen, he seems to consider young Aizen less of a threat than Kisuke is. Though still both are threats to his army, but Kisuke just seems to be put up on a higher pedestal because he literally just tells them, don't even try. He's gonna outsmart you. But with you,
but it's like
Aizen, he's like,
honestly,
yeah, fuck him.
yeah, but it's like honestly, like in that arc, I would just say that Yawak was underestimating Aizen, like completely. Since literally after he got out, he didn't even realize that he got like bamboozled by his Kyokai Suigetsu, and like we know at that point that Aizen is capable of doing that, since he realized he did that to Asashiro. I think that's his name, and
Yeah,
like I'm not, and don't murder me for this. Put down the bazooka. When I say that he was even able to that he was even able to trick like Yuwak Almighty when Yuwak wasn't exactly taking him seriously. Like in a sense that was kind of a similar situation to as to what Kisuke was put under against his Hogyo confused self.
yeah, kinda. Except like, yeah, as you said, like Yua wasn't taking him seriously, so all he did was really trick Yua's like passive under capability to break out of that shit. Which, granted, is still impressive, but we like that's his Kyoka in a higher form, and same like I'd say the reason he's not underestimating Aizen's intelligence. He just didn't fucking know Aizen had fused with his Sanpakuto to that degree. Like, oh, he walks in and he sees Aizen sitting strapped to a chair, and he's like, "Well, I don't see a fucking sword. No way can he put me under an illusion." Well, he does. So like, he's making a pretty safe conclusion that without his Sanpakuto, he can't put me under hypnosis. So I don't think that's him underestimating Aizen's intelligence. It just seems to be he's not aware that Aizen doesn't need his Sanpakuto present to mind hack people. So I'd say that's like he's not anyway underestimating him. Plus he's actually seen what Aizen does and all that. He knows that. Remember, like all the fucking hollows, like Laparo dies, his intelligence should go to Yua since he came in contact with a Quince thing, that being Uryu. So, like, Dio was pretty goddamn close with Aizen, like, one of his espada. They have some idea that Aizen's a fucking monster in intelligence, and he's still like, nah, fuck him. Plus, he should also have just watched King Fake Karakura Town arc. So,
A
like,
little like a movie theater.
yeah, like they watch that shit that he still says, "Oh yeah, so you think like you and Kisuke are relative? Ah, fuck him. He's not a threat." So it seems to be either Juha's just retarded, which we know isn't the case, or he's actually pretty confident that Kisuke has gotten smarter, which is also a safe assumption because Kisuke always improves. After all, remember back in the goddamn turn back the pendulum when Aizen literally bent him over and did just molested him in every way possible through intelligence. And then you get later on and they're just relative. Like it seems that Aizen even outsmarted him with the Soul Society arc. Or Kisuke prepped for that and just acted like he was outsmarted, which is possible. But it seems like Kisuke's degree of growing, just like Aizen's, constantly improve intelligence, power, and all that. Especially since he has learned more, since he gets more things to prep for. He learns more info during the Quincy War and all. Since he learns of just using Hollow Ryatsu and all that, he starts figuring out more. So he gets more knowledge. Seems to be that he does improve in intelligence.
You just love,
Yeah.
don't you? Yeah.
Oh right, there's even more
Okay.
story because Mayori also does it, and Mayori is the
Okay, I
vice.
get
Yeah.
it.
So I'd say Kisuke and Kent from World just gotten way smarter than when he was a relative.
Okay, so like I can get okay, so like I can get him like being more intelligent than Aizen, and like I guess like this would kind of put Aizen under pressure since he would like constantly have to watch out every fucking millisecond of this guy, which he probably might notice even from the behavior. Like the personality would still be the same, but it's even like noted like when Shuhei was like interviewing Aizen in the second volume of Inferior World. There's a that he's a man of mysteries, even though he's literally just talking to him in like a
Yeah,
totally sane person that didn't invent some unhealthy foods.
yeah. Kisuke constantly admitted things, and then they're like, "Yeah, you're a mistake." Also, you accident Aizen, but I get what you.
Oh yeah, wait, I did dog.
Yeah, it's no problem. But yeah,
Yeah, I
like
know.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's like yeah. So I would say that Aizen is that yeah, Kisuke would be better, but going with like the similar thing of like the stuff that you're going with your walk, like how he put like how Askin explained how the war potentials were, and that Kisuke was like branded for his intelligence, and so Aizen was like branded a major threat just because of his alone. The level of control that he had were absolutely insane. Like it's like even like way back in the Soul Society arc, he was doing everything he could in his power not to immediately murder Ichigo, like a weakened Ichigo against Byakuya, and an even weaker Renji on top of that.
yeah.
Uh, since like even it would be even more impressive since like like in the guidebooks like when it said that Orihime is like getting it was either like Ichigo's or Ura's Ryatsu to getting out when the Ichigo right after Ichigo's first battle with Ulquiorra, the amount of Ryatsu that pumped into Ichigo like inside Ichigo's wound that nearly sliced him in half him alive. And yeah, Aizen did say that Ichigo's willpower and like his spinal cord was keeping him alive, but he also pointed that was going against him as well. So like the level of control that he would have with that would be even more impressive, and even more so that it could be that like I would say that he would have actually killed Komamura, but he probably just kept him alive just to probably test Tosin on his conviction in his final battle against Komamura to see if he would be under conflict or not.
Yeah, that's fine and all. Uh, I mean, I don't
So like,
disagree with him having fucking ridiculous control over his own power. No, I'd say Kisuke does as well, considering able to, like, when he first shows his abilities, Shuhei looks at him and says, "Witch is probably comparable." It goes on, and Kisuke's fighting Aura. Meanwhile, Yoruichi got fucking bullied by Tokinada. So it seems like he's able to actually suppress control his power so well that like people that are literally just not even on their radar. Like he's being compared to them due to how much control he has. So I'd say like he
but it's like,
definitely has comparable control. Maybe at least like in containing the power. I wouldn't say necessarily he's as good at like manipulating it since that's a fucking specialty of Aizen. But like he should at least be up there enough to actually compare to like that level of Ryatsu control that Aizen would be able to use.
so like in that case, I would just say that either would be able to increase the beyond the five senses and says uh, shit. I was kind of hoping for like a really dramatic effect.
Yeah. Are you referring to him affecting the six, like the sense of Ryatsu, like or whatever
No,
Sukaraku calls it?
no, no. So we know like how that Aizen does explain that it can actually affect like the five senses,
Yeah,
and it says, eh, but it's like I would go with the data books that say that Isaac can control all senses, and like we already saw that he's able to control like manipulate like the sixth sense, that being Reikaku, which I think that's the way to say like a spiritual sensing, and like the way
no,
to
yeah,
go beyond that. Yeah, so like I would just go with that, and would just say that he would be able to affect way more than five. Like at the very least, he would affect nine senses. Like I can even get like, and I can even get like a site for that explicitly does go into more detail about the senses.
yeah, sure. Could post
And
it.
yeah, and he was like the one with the data book
Yeah,
or
I'm
the
aware of that
guidebook,
statement.
whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I don't have any problems with him being able to control all of them. Like as you mentioned, he has feats of controlling more than the five. So
Yeah. Because like even one of these, like it says thermoreception, which explains it's like controlling, which is the sense of heat and like the sense of cold, which would be even more supporting evidence on my end because we saw a Kenfiro novel Shinji, she's saying that he can even like affect that, like he was even like training to go undergo to like even train these illusions to that extent.
yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, I know since those are actually directly brought up. Some um,
Yeah.
so I'd argue. Hmm, I'd again just argue Kisuke can reconstruct these and change them up with his Bankai this time instead of just going through them with skill and intelligence. Since like we do know it's perfectly in character the moment he knows his Shikai can't get the job done, he goes straight for Bankai. That's what he did against that. And well, his Shikai can obviously not like do anything against this, so I'd say his Bankai could. So he would resort to that. And when his Bankai, not only would he obviously get like the power increase of a Bankai, but we do know he can actually just change up and manipulate those senses and just rewrite them, change them up. He did that with his sense of sight and all. Like he can change senses. Makes sense. I mentioned it before that even like lower amounts of Ryatsu starts affecting senses, showing that like senses in like the scale of more fundamental shit you get with more Ryatsu is lower than space, and obviously Kiski has way more Ryatsu than what like Kenny had when he like that level. So like sense affecting senses is definitely something his Ryatsu is capable of, and like literally that's what a Bankai is. It's just like their reishi and all that. Their Sanpaktos. That's why Aura can control them. Proving like yeah, they do also have like souls and reishi and all. So
Like I would still say that he would still be like under the illusion, since like he was, because it's even implied that he's still like able to affect Yamamoto when he was taking him seriously as a threat.
yeah, I'm not saying he's gonna break out of it. I'm saying he can use his Bankai to change up his senses to make it harder for Aizen to manipulate them. Because you can't manipulate something as effectively if you have no idea what the fuck it is. And even Aizen
But it's
seems
like
to actually accept this, that like same with Kisuke, they both have trouble figuring out shit when they have no knowledge. And since Aizen wouldn't have any fucking knowledge on what the fuck Kisuke can change them up to be, since he can do that, like he can manipulate them whatever fucking way, like he's done that, he can change how strong they are, like how they work and all that. So he could just change his senses to be very different, and then Aizen would have to figure out what's different and then adapt to that. And Kisuke can continuously do that to make it way more difficult to make proper like illusions. And we all know when Aizen doesn't can't do proper illusions, Urahara was able to eventually see through one or figure out something was wrong. Yama also did it. So like when there's faults in them, people figure that out. People way less intelligent and analytical than Kisuke is. As again, Kisuke would upscale in intelligence from Aizen's statement, like he's so intelligent that by just looking at you, he can figure out everything about you. Like Kisuke can do the same, as that's a direct thing due to intelligence, and since he's got more, he can replicate it. Unohana and Yama do not have anything like that. So he could definitely see faults in something easier than they could. And then start
the
figuring out that, well, the one that doesn't have a fault in it, that's the real one.
so like I would still say that right now Aizen would now be even more cautious since he's never seen Kisuke's Bankai at all. But it's like since Kisuke would still be under the illusions and still be and still like going under with his neural senses, like his radiation senses, like his pain perception, and even like the chemical senses going against him. Sim, I would say that he was still have plenty of time to see what could be done against the Kisuke's Kisuke's Bankai.
Well, yeah, he could figure out what it does. That's fine. But I'd say the illusion would be worse due to him not knowing what Kisuke can do to his. That's the reason he'd go Bankai, since, like against Askin, he goes Bankai because Askin literally negs his eyesight and starts blowing him out, like killing him. And the moment he realizes my Bankai can fix this shit, he goes for it. So, and then he immediately fixes what Askin fucked up. So, like, we know that since he would, in this case, go Bankai due to the senses being fucked up and being manipulated, he uses Bankai to do as much as he can to fix that by figuring out that he has his own weaknesses and he's aware of those. Like, that's constantly been shown, he knows his own weaknesses, same as Aizen does with his own. That's why they're always careful. So he actually realized that, yeah, he can change that somewhat. Can't break out, but he can effectively make him worse. Or figure out how to fight under them, since Aizen did similar with illusions, though not as effective, but since again he states like Shin uses parlor tricks, but it's still showing they can adapt to fight under illusion.
Mm-hmm. So now at this point it would be like a far more safe for Aizen to attack her in long range distance.
Yeah. Well, is this a separate Wincon, I'd ask? Or is this still on the Kyoka? Because otherwise it's my turn.
It's kind of
Like
weird
on the
because
PlayStation combat.
whatever you say.
I'm
But
just saying,
yeah, I guess you can go with
Oh, okay.
but yeah, you can go with your Wincon.
Yeah, so I'd argue Kisuke's gonna use his Bankai's range to start being able to put the seals from long range. Effectively,
Wait, my bad.
oh,
Like, are y'all leaving that? That was like random, but like, are y'all leaving that to the judges, like everything else that y'all said? Because like,
I'm
y'all are
fine
just
with that.
moving. Because like y'all didn't establish, y'all just said, "Oh, we're just gonna keep moving on," and it's y'all haven't really. No one really
Yeah,
acknowledged if like you agreed with each other or not. It's like y'all just keep. So I was just kind of curious before you
yeah,
make another.
I'm fine leaving that point to the judges. About it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, just wanted to double check.
Oh yeah. Sorry, we should probably clarify. But yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I'd argue Kisuke would use Bankai to start manipulating shit from long range to eventually start putting the seals there, since he can now actually affect shit on like a few meters at least, something. Since we know Askin had to get pretty far away to change it, we also know Keith can literally just like start making those like I guess suing patterns to get longer range, since that's what he did to
Wait.
change shot.
Oh, oh my God! I just realized what's so terrifying about Kisuke's Bankai.
But that he's a crazy grandma that can do shit.
Yeah, it's a female's power.
Yeah, I know it's terrifying. But yeah, he's got the grandma force, okay? So
Oh shit.
that's my wing con. I'm a sue the seals onto you. But yeah, he's gonna place them with his bankai. And well, like this, a yoke, like was a yoke that he's gonna sue them. It's basically what he's gonna do. Because he's gonna place them with his suing. So, and since obviously Askin did this, I'm pretty sure Aizen would as well. But we do know Kisuke starts prepping, and his range is fucking insane once he
Yeah,
starts
but
making that. So I'd say
yeah,
whole field would start becoming more and more of Kisuke's playground, with him getting better and better range as the fight goes on, constantly increasing the chances that he's gonna hit Dyson. And when he does, he's gonna put the seals there. At that point, I'd also argue, even if there are illusions, it wouldn't matter because he can just attack everything. So I'd say even if I did do lose the previous point, like the just AoE of his Bankai would be able to make up for that somewhat. Similar to like how Yama's like, yeah, even he didn't want to take a chance, so he's like, I'm gonna nuke everyone. Like, I'm just gonna nuke us all. Then even if it's an illusion, you're still gonna die. Like, he can do the same, but instead of, he's not gonna suicide attack. He's gonna use his Bankai.
I'm kind of having like a bit of a trouble to like how like visualizing like how exactly that would look like. So,
A bunch of suing marks all over the battlefield.
okay, so I would say that that Isaac would already figure out far faster than what Askin was able to do it with, and like not only that, but he would like be able to dodge that, but like by using his flash step, and also like thanks to his instinctive reactions. Because he was even able because like he was even able to dodge Kisuke in the turn back the pendulum arc when he had his cloak that like it completely wipes out the traces of his spiritual pressure.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine with that. I'd say, sure, he could dodge, though at this point the speed of Kisuke would be well, so he would have way more trouble. But since like the standard Bankai is 5 to 10, and Kisuke's Bankai is definitely not a physical, like at bare minimum a 5 times increase, but since it's a mastered Bankai, it could definitely be the full 10. So, but either way, the speed increase would be very useful to actually increase his chances of hitting. Plus, again, he's just gonna create like AoE, like he did against Askin, when he created a big fucking line to affect the whole like, what's it called, the Gifts Ball Deluxe.
Yeah, but it's like it's not like that Aizen would be able to get hit like right away, since like we know that Bleach characters are able to like react and get out of the way against opponents that are much faster than them.
Yeah, I said earlier, that's fine. Like I'd say, like even if you did dodge, since there'd be some distance, like eventually he's just gonna get a hit in. Like that speed's just gonna put in work along with the just amount of attacks you'd have to deal with. All the while
But it's
also
also
thinking of Kisuke being more intelligent, and like he can start planning shit up to hit him. Like again, he only needs 2 hits, possibly even one if it spreads quickly enough. As we saw, it does spread pretty goddamn quickly against Askin. Like he just hits him and immediately like 90% of his arm just splits open immediately. So it seems to spread quickly, pretty goddamn quick. And if it spreads quick enough, like he just need 1 hit at most
Yeah.
2. So
yeah. So like this would so yeah, since Aizen would be in far greater danger, I would say that he would actually be getting would be able to adapt really quickly, like adapt really quickly. Um, since Kisuke explained that the more in danger the soul is, like the bigger their overall physical stats do increase. Like the one with like where Kompaku Ichiko was able to react to Uru hitting him, and Kisuke even blatantly confirmed that yeah, if his stats didn't increase, that he would have been one shotted. And like not only that, but I would also like use my own kind of AOE range by using the Hado 99 Goryu Tenmetsu.
mm, eh. Are you just gonna like nuke me with Goryu Tenmetsu?
Yes.
I'd argue Kisuke can counter that with his own. That's what he did to Aura. And then like Aura only like beat him because I can get this behind you, but he didn't actually lose that fight. He literally threw the fight because they like during their battle they were literally like both holding back, or kinda. It's like they weren't trying to murder the other, but they were using all their powers so that Tokinada knew, like, thought they were going all out. So they're able to basically just fight at full strength without trying to kill. But during that fight, eventually, like, their whole plan was to eventually just have Kisuke lose. So, like, we know he can actually just counter and like tank them. It's not like he dies or gets knocked out from his own Kido either. So I'm just gonna cover up that front. We were trying to ask that.
It's kind of funny because like I am literally at the age where I was sent a screenshot shot of like the Goryu Tenmetsu being used.
You were gonna post him getting knocked out from using?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, when he and Aura clashes, he gets knocked out and taken away. Or well, taken away. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
the
Well,
reason that happens is not because of the technique itself, it's just because he threw the fight. He just wanted to make sure so we don't waste any time on
yeah,
it.
it's kind of weird. Oh, it's kind of weird because like I thought that he got like BFR by Yukio.
Oh yeah, Yukio's in on the plan.
Hmm?
It's
What the?
hilarious. Yuki was starting to put coded messages. We saw the fucking code and figure out what the message was. So they just planned during the whole fight. So yeah,
Yeah, I know that one. Like it was like the
yeah,
message that he sent to Shuhei.
yeah, like all that during the fight. So yeah, again, wanted to get that shit out so we don't waste any time on did can Kiski use this without getting.
Can't really use like a double one since Kisuke can also do that.
Oh, also, would you agree that like with the level of difference like basic Senkais can give, like there, they like Kisuke would still either be stronger or comparable, so that he would at least actually be able to cancel out the Kido.
Wait, sorry. What did you say?
Would you agree that off like since you mentioned Aizen gets a Senkai, would you agree that Kisuke would still be or superior or at least relative so that he can still counter the Kido? Or do you want me to go in on why I'd say that'd be
I would, at the very least, I would say relative, since like Aizen has like way more fucking Ryatsu than that Kompaku Ichigo had, and like not only that, but wait, I lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was gonna say.
it's fine. But yeah, yeah, that's fine. Like I have no problems with him getting like at least a
It's
comparable
like, oh
Senkai.
yeah, yeah. I was also like gonna say that since Aizen is like in way more danger than like Kisuke is.
Yeah, so yeah, if they're at least relative, I'd say Keith could cover it. In fact, his might still actually edge out as when he uses it, he can use it in multiple ways. He can use the ley line, which is what Aizen does, but he also shows that if he uses like other people's ratio as well, like he can take that shit for his own use when he uses it. And Aizen has never shown that he can uses that, and it like when they measure it, the specific words I think was he had hacked into like the ratio around or something, or can't remember the exact words, but yeah, he can basically use other sources of power to amplify his own Goryo Tenmetsu. So I'd say
Weird.
it possibly might actually be edging out, so due to amps and all. In fact, when possibly I'd say it's probably likely that it would, since if like say Senka, let's say that it puts them at equal, they're they're both perfect like masters completely over all Kido, so their strength and increases with them should be comparable, but Kisuke can just amplify his more through other means. So I'd say a likelihood of it at least getting the edge. And we all know like the in Bleach small edges is still enough. We saw this with like Boston Lord Ichigo and Ulquiorra, where even though Ulquiorra's was strong enough to stop it, it was still consumed and put Ichigo at like he was obviously the superior in that one with like his zero.
Yeah, I know, and like the force of the impact basically caused the nuke to go off.
Yeah, so I'd say, and the nuke would obviously be on like Kisuke's. So, and since Kisuke can handle his own strength and all, like we saw that he can handle his own ki though. So I'd say like it's at best just gonna like cancel out. At worst, it might actually just like go through and beat it.
Which even then, Aizen would basically just use Flash Step to avoid the damage, like at least as much as he can. And all the while just basically thinking of what to do more and more. Since like stepping in like in closer range is suicidal. Is suicidal. He would know that for sure.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd say the Bankai would still be a play there. Like Bankai would like if he starts dodging the Gonryo Tenmetsu, like he start using his Bankai again. Like the more you sit, the more like area of effect he's gonna have to manipulate. Then and we do know like this shit can start affecting space as well. So like, it doesn't matter if you're in the air or anything. Like, you're not gonna escape it. It's gonna be everywhere.
Hmm.
You thinking, or did you cut off?
I'm thinking.
Okay, wanted to make.
So I would say that with the help of the Hogyoku, it would help Aizen to change the ties of the battle. And like I'm not talking about like any of his evolutions or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm aware. Are you referring to its probability or its fate?
Uh, uh, it's like how do I? Let me like a fact check real quick, so in case I don't really screw anything up.
Yeah, I know it has both. I just want to make sure like which isn't.
It's like the one where he explained to Ishin on like what or like all the events that transpired because of the Hogyoku.
Okay, so like when it's not fully like S, then okay. So the probability.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, in that
So
one,
like
when he explains like the probability, he does note a limit that it has to actually be a possibility, and it just makes like leads them towards that possibility. So I'd say like eventually Kisuke is just gonna be able to cover the entire place so that there's no possibilities of you escaping it. Unless you wanna like run to another world but keep the case. And it's just gonna continue. So like I'd say he'd be able to play the long game of eliminating every possibility. Especially since at that point Kisuke started to know of the Hogyoku's power. Like even in the Karakura Town arc, he's pretty clear that like at that point he's confident that he could handle the Hogyoku fully. And then Ishin's like pretty clear by explaining what Aizen told him. He's like he literally told Ichigo like Kisuke would definitely want all the info he could. So I'd say he'd be aware of that limitation that Aizen literally mentioned to Ishin. And since obviously this is only like that version of the Hogyoku and not when it's like fully bonded, I'd say that he'd have no way of actually eliminating that weakness except evolving, which we both agreed to is banned.
I wish I can use the Bankai, but if only we knew what it does.
You see, his Bankai is the to not be revealed, okay?
Oh, no, screw that shit. I need it in this case.
Ah, all Kubo.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Mr. Kubo. Well,
It's like bad.
I'm
Just
kind of
go pay for Cub Kubo and ask him why his Bankai. Uh,
Yeah, the good idea. This will last for like about 5 minutes or so.
yeah,
So take your time.
yeah, 5 minutes total. Gotta respond to that. That seems good. Yeah. Even then, Aizen doesn't even seem to like using his Bankai since he never does. He doesn't
I
even
know.
try it against Yama. He's like, oh, fighting Yama, that's gonna be troublesome. Should I am myself? Nah, I just create this weird child instead. He's gonna fight the old man.
I guess he would sacrifice Wonderwise in this case.
Wonder why he needs to deal with Kisuke. Yeah, that's gonna end well. Totally not gonna be another Yama situation.
Yeah, I know, but I mean more so sacrifice the child.
Bruh. Uh,
So I guess like the option of like stopping it is for like Aizen's Ryat to use for like Aizen to use the telekinesis aspect of his Ryatsu
uh, what are you gonna do with that specific?
to stop the AoE.
I'd say these marks, since like once they're stuck there, they're just there like a permanent thing. Seemingly, they don't disappear, even when Kisuke doesn't seem to care about them. I'd say like even if you use this like around you, we've seen the area of effect doesn't seem to be that big. So like you could have like let's say fucking a small circle, like basically just a wannabe Byakuya's Bankai, right? Of like where there are no seals, but the rest is gonna be there. So like
I would just
I
yeah,
I
but like
can
I would just
just
argue that
then just argue Kisuke is getting close. Like if there's one place his seals can, or well his doing can't get to, he can go there himself.
but it's like yeah, I would say that Aizen would just extend like the AoE of his Ryatsu.
I would say at the point when he realizes he has to do that, so much of the battlefield would be completely covered in the seals that their movability would be extremely limited, giving Kisuke an a very good chance of either forcibly pushing him into one of the suits or just getting in close and doing putting the seals himself.
Question like can those sewing things be destroyed?
I haven't seen them. They seem to actually be like just stuck there. They probably can since though it's an ability, so
Yeah, I would just say that Aizen would use Kiro to get rid of this of as many stitches as he possibly can, like to give him way more movement.
that point that
Huh?
so uh, like what keto would he use specifically?
Let me think. So I don't really have him do like anything reckless.
You have him do? I know what.
Because like I'm not. Yeah.
Uh, just so you know, I'm asking specifically because certain keto would be definitely something Kisuke could easily counter him. In fact, most of them he definitely could.
Oh, so I would say that he would use like the. Let's see. So I don't screw this up. Oh, so I would say that he would use the Haro 88, the Hiryu Gekikosu Shinten Raiho. It's
Okay.
like the one that Tessa used.
Yeah, I know which one. Um, yeah, okay, so he's just gonna destroy them. That's fine. That's just a beat.
Yeah.
Um, I'd argue.
Kamehameha.
Yeah, I'd argue they could counter that with Danku.
Which, yeah, that's fine. The main goal is like to get rid of the stitches.
Okay. So
Like he will pretty much expect Kisuke to block that.
okay. So I'd say, like, since we do know that she's caused a big ass fucking explosion, I'd argue Kisuke's gonna use this time, put up his fucking Gigai, and just sneak attack Aizen. Since he
So,
does that a
I
lot.
was hoping you would. I was hoping you would use this on your first, like on your first defense when I used my first wing con.
No. But we have seen that he can do, like, he used that shit to get the uh, fucking up on Hogyuku Aizen, though obviously he wasn't using his intelligence as much, but we do know he was still like, yeah, he was there to kill PK, and Kisuke could immediately fake him out and get behind him. And we do know like he somehow does this, even to people faster than him. So
Or like, I guess you can maybe say that like the Gigai thing was there the whole time. Like,
I
it's weird.
don't know. But yeah, I'd say he'd use
But
the
it,
guy to get the drop on Ice.
the way those things works are so weird.
Yeah, because like that Giga is a perfect replica of Kisuke himself. It doesn't even seem that its Ryatsu signature is different because no one makes note of it. Yami is pretty self-explanatory because he's retarded. He can't even send shit.
Obviously.
Yeah, but Aizen, like, he doesn't even notice this shit's fake, implying that it does have Ryatsu. Keeping in mind, at that point, he was still watching Kisuke. Like, he clarifies this later when Kisuke is like, oh, what are you looking at? And he clarifies, like, yeah, I'm observing you because you're fucking intelligent. So he's pretty clearly observing Kisuke, even when he gets stronger. So, and he gets less, more careless as he gets stronger. Yeah. So when in a stronger version, he's still like, yeah, I'm a my eye on this guy. So when he's less careless, he still doesn't notice that this shit's fake. So I'd say it's perfectly capable of tricking characters like that. And he seems to use Shumpo to get the drop on them then later, so it moves really quickly.
So, at which side would Kisuke be coming from?
Uh, Likely behind. That seems to be what he does. Shows up behind you. He did that both times. My main goal is getting close, because in a then the close range fight, and all he needs is touch you twice or once, since at this point it's close range, and now he can use his
Hmm.
shit. Like whenever you get close to him, remember, like it has this passive effect where if you get close to him, you start getting fucked up. Since that's what happened to Askin, like the moment he was close, he wasn't hit by it. he just got close, and so he can just by being in your presence start putting fucking stewing on you. And then he's gonna start be able to rebuild Aizen's body and start putting the seals there.
Question: would the Gigai body still have would still have Kisuke's look, or would it have its base look?
Mm, well, it probably just have his base because it's just meant to be like a short double, right? It's like it's meant to be there. You look at it, oh, Kisuke's there, his Ryasu's there, like to immediately get the drop on.
Yeah, so I would say that Aizen would be easily be able to identify it and just destroy it with a keto spell.
Yeah, I have no problem with him identifying that shit. All I'm saying is like that split moment is gonna allow Kisuke to get in close, which is always what he does it for. Like he just sacrificed that shit to get close. So against Yami, he obviously did it to get close and troll, but he wasn't serious against Yami. So
But with this, he would go for the killing blow.
yeah, with his just fucking seal, since that's something he specifically created to deal with Aizen, along with a bunch of other things she created to deal with Aizen. The only thing
Which
with
the
Aizen,
sealing, the seals were like the only thing we did see in prep with. Like
yeah,
unless you want to count him including Yoruichi and Hishin.
aren't they his prep?
Yeah,
Everything counts as prep in those arcs. So and everything. Like the
uh,
king his father is Aizen's prep time. Again, I don't even need to hit you. I just need to get close, and the Bankai takes effect. I can post those scans if you.
yeah, sure. So
Uh,
it's kind of a bit hard to visualize what that's like.
yeah,
Like there's just so much there's so much shit that happened in the Blood War to get like all these other scans of like different other stuff, so it's hard to keep up with what happened.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I've looked at this fight way too many times. To a point where I fucking know
Yeah.
the exact chapters per in my head.
I'm like, you damn addict.
But really, I don't even read a lot. I just know where they are because I always like look for the card fight, which is like after, and I always accidentally press the Askin fight to get there. So I have just by accidentally going there, I figured out which chapters
You
that
have
is.
the damn cutoff points.
Part of his Bankai, like one is him holding up and just being Gaddis. Posting. Getting the full like thing. Like all it did was just talk, and we don't see any marks, which is how he gets like it hit.
Did you send him?
Oh, seems like it didn't work. I'll just post them again. Click. Works. Yes. The final one is confirmation that it's just like his Bankai has an area of effect where it affects people, and then we later see like more confirmation that like it has the normal area of effect, and then he can extend this by just putting the.
Oh, so that's how it works.
So that's him being close. Like they were pretty far away, for a decent amount of weight. So you just be able to get that in. Like you see in the first one there, they're far away from each other.
What to do now? Not in Mikori can't really work. That's way too simple. Can't use that one just yet. He's not exactly that desperate. No, that's way too simple. I can't use his own space game against him, no. What if a card close range, so that can't work?
Just hearing you fucking limit all the possibilities.
I know, like, I'm going with, like, the Keto attack, since that's, like, the only way that Aizen can safely attack him. I need something with a more powerful ceiling method. Anyway, we have to dodge that out of the way regardless, so... Oh wait, what's this one? Wait, let me try this one. Wait, let me think of like this one. No, not that one. Damn it, that one can't work either.
You're literally going over every key.
Yeah, I know.
Bruh. There's
That one
over
already works.
200 of them, for fuck's sake.
I know.
Bruh.
So I guess like that he Aizen would just go on to attack Kisuke by using the sword and Sokatsui.
I mean, I'd say at that point, Kisuke would just still be close enough to get his Bankai effect in. And if he takes damage, he can still just reconfigure that. He's shown that he can heal himself.
By how much of an extent can he able to heal himself?
So his healing works by reconstruction. So as long as there's stuff left, he can construct that. Since that's literally like the purpose of its ability. Like
So
it
I have to
takes
go with
what's
something
there, it takes what's there and puts it back together. So as long as he's alive and there's the stuff left, he should be able to reconstruct that and put it to either the same way or different. As we saw him change up like his hand fix. I think that's one example when he builds it back but makes it better.
Ooh, I think I got it.
Oh, oh right. Okay.
I'll just go with with the same sealing methods that Hachi was able to use against Baragon.
Like the big old fucking weird cube thing that's effective somehow.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I'd say Kisuke could just get out of that with since he can like we know Bankai works on attack like in hacks and shit like that. Literally affected and opened up so that you could break in from the outside of Lux Ball Deluxe or the Gift Ball Deluxe, whatever. Paul, I can't remember names of his attacks, but we know he uses a Bankai to actually allow for Grimya to break in, so he can affect shit like that.
So basically, just use to. Oh, so just use like. So basically, just use like BFR to get out of there.
Not really. He's just gonna build gateway. Like he's gonna build a door by opening it up.
Yeah, I know, but like technically, that kind of is like BFR. So
Not like he's going. Well, this depends on your or but little that's like going off topic. The only real thing is
yeah.
yeah.
But it's like with the stitches happening, I would say that that the Hogyuku would heal him from that.
I'd say it could heal him, but gonna put the seals there, which we know like Aizen seems to have actually just evolved from that. And in fact, he couldn't remove them until he evolved. So, like, let's say he can heal from that without evolving. We know the seals
I
can
mean, I mean,
literally.
I meant more so like the moment like when Ichigo attacked him, he was able to heal just fine without evolving at all.
Yeah, I know of that. Like, he can still heal. Just like he's gonna use those fucking seals that just completely incinerate you from the with your own power. So if he could heal without transforming, I'd say the seals would still be there and just do it again. Since we know, like even Aizen after he regenerated, seals were still there. He had to physically remove them, which he could only do by evolving. So, like worst case scenario, you can't even heal. Other cases, like you're just gonna be coming back and then incinerated again. And Kisuke can then just start like going away and like There's nothing Aizen can really do. He's just gonna continuously die and come back. Like that's the situation where Aizen just doesn't die from.
It's like I kind of doubt that he would be able to, cause like, but like I kind of doubt that Kisuke would be able to place like both of those at once, since like I would go over like with the instinctive reaction shit, like even more so that he's able to like completely understand like how our rancors work, and like cause like even Keen is like able to regularly fuck around with them.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd say he doesn't need to touch because at that point he'd be close enough for his Bankai to take effect, and then he can put them there with his stitching.
But it's like Aizen went on that getting in close range is a really bad idea, so he would just be getting away more, while
Yeah, he's
also
trying
thinking of what
trying
exactly
to
he can do.
run, sure, but Kisuke can just follow. As long as he's
Yeah,
staying
no,
near his Bankai is gonna continue in the game. So he can just
but it's
continue
like
to follow and stay close enough until both seals are placed, which seems to be pretty quickly considering like it took no time at all for like 90% of Askin's arm to be affected. And this one might actually be even faster since we do know like the performance of the Bankais do increase as once Ryatsu does. Like their abilities are also amped and made faster and all. So it's possible at least that like his Bankai would be even faster during Cantrian World. At least in like how quickly it can spread.
mhm. What to do now? I feel like I only have like two options left at this point. So the first one that I will go with is that t- is that Aizen would erase the stitches.
Are you referring to Hayan?
Not really more so like on himself. It's like I'm referring like to the one where Yamamoto said that that Aizen getting the okay would just result in Karakura at a town getting erased.
Oh, yeah. So I mean that one could possibly be like him using Hayan just good because it's Aizen, but yeah. So existence
Yeah.
ratio. Would he be able to use that on himself quickly enough? Like, because if he fucks that up, he's gonna erase himself. So they have to be so precise in such a quick, like, short amount of time that they're able to erase the stitches fully. Then at the same time get away from with Kisuke not being able to keep up because Kisuke follow, and it's gonna continue before like the seals are placed, which takes almost no time.
Oh,
So
no,
it's
I'm not really referring to the stitches. I'm also like referring to getting aimed at you. Aizen is not that risky to do it on himself.
yeah, okay. So you're gonna erase like at that point I'd argue Kisuke's use resisted erasure, like erasure on like their level
Uh,
as Quincy fights Quincy's a lot. And I think we
I mean,
both
has it
agree
really?
Quincy's have existence erasure. Or do
Yeah.
I need to prove it? Okay. Well, so he
So the
also,
second one that I
again, he also knows how to counter like every key. So one of them is high end, so that should be more support that he knows how to counter existence erasure.
But it's kind of like if Kisuke also kind of tried to use keto, like I'm not saying you would because you didn't really use them, because like you didn't really use them all that much. That Aizen would also just be able to cancel it out.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not gonna use them for this. Like,
Actually, actually, I would argue that Aizen would actually like, would be able to like cancel the stitches like the same way how like Kisuke would be able to cancel out the Kurohitsugi's gravity distortion.
well, so Kisuke, when he explains how they cancel techniques, he explains that you need to fully know how they function, or that like he needs to see the reishi composition, the muscle movements, and all that. And even then, he notes that like with all that info, it is incredibly difficult to do. So I'd say we're not even sure if Aizen could do all that in amount of time because while doing that, Kisuke can still pull up with his own shit. Like he can still fight and get close physically. Like it's not only his ability that's a threat there; it's just him being near. So even if you cancel out the stitches, which would require a ton of effort and just focusing on them, then Kisuke can get in close and put the seals on just physically.
It's like I would argue that he would be able to, considering that he was able to figure out exactly how Orihime's abilities do work.
Yeah, it's fine. If he figures out how they work, like yeah, sure, he could count maybe like cancel them, but again, as I mentioned, even Kisuke when he has all the info on how it works on a rather simple technique, mind you, because balas are extremely simple, he still notes that it's difficult to do. And Kisuke's Bankai is weird as all hell. But like either way, it'd be extremely difficult and seems to take a ton of focus. Because if you don't get it right, it doesn't work. And if he has to focus on like negating all the stitches and like the Bankai's hacks and go in himself.
Uh, hmm. Okay, I probably have a really stupid idea on my head. I would just go with paralyzing you.
With what specific?
It was like the keto that like the one that Rukia used to against Grant Fisher.
Oh, that one. I mean,
Yeah,
uh, what's that like? Keto number? Oh, Bakura number 4?
9.
Oh,
It was
9.
9.
Yeah, the higher the number, the more complicated they are. So, and more like powerful and complex and all that. So, considering he should easily be able to handle those on way higher levels, like again as we talked about earlier, Kuretsu, I'd say he'd be able to cancel Bakudo number 9 very easily.
It's like even then, like that brief moment, because like even then, that brief moment would allow Aizen to go with like with his more powerful attacks to basically just destroy every part of Kisuke there is as fast as he possibly can.
Yeah, but he'd have to actually put the like paralyzation there before and negate the ability before Kisuke puts the seals there, which just needs to get close to do. Plus, when Rukia does it, it seems to requires a fucking hand motion, like hand sign bullshit. So
Yeah, but like this is Rukia.
yeah, okay, that's fair. It seems to just be like another version of the incantation. But if he's gonna use the without the incantation, it would be weaker and even simpler to negate. Plus, like Kido in those levels are like never really considered useful at all. Like Kisuke uses higher level Kidos as distractions, and like Aizen when he sees it, like, oh, you're using a Kido on this skill. Well, the only logical explanation is you're just trying to distract me. The they don't seem to think of those levels of Kidos as anything impressive. Like Byakuya's
I
like
was
the
gonna
only
go with
one
like
that much.
cause like how yeah I didn't really like go with the higher ones like Rikuchu Koro because you can literally because like Kisuke will probably just see those things coming. But
Yeah,
it's like yeah like the paralyzation kind of supposed to be like the distraction. Because
yeah,
like yeah, like even like the Ichigo and Grimjaw battle, like in the second fight that lasted for 11 seconds, like every second of that moment were counted.
yeah. Like I'm aware of that, but in this case, like Kisuke would just need to actually get the seals in, which is rather likely considering again, like for you to even get the chance of using it, you have to first cancel his ability, which is incredibly difficult, as before. And while doing that, Aizen has to make sure that Kisuke does not put the seals onto him, which would be very difficult considering the relative here and in close range. And Kisuke is fully like determined to put this shit in and would be well aware of Aizen's style at this point, especially since now they fought for a while. And Aizen still has to like focus on Kisuke on the ability, getting the precision right, because otherwise he's still fucked. And then like after doing all that, like if he succeeds, then he'd need to put the paralyzation there, which Kisuke like might just see coming immediately, because he mentions with Bala that there's like a certain reishi composition and a like change in the muscles when used, implying like you can see a physical way of moving for specific techniques. So if he notes that, oh, Aizen's gonna use that shit, like he's gonna be prepared in, but especially with how used to those shit things he would be, because I mean, Kido's kinda one of his things. He's one of the best users of it in all of Bleach, so like I'm pretty sure like Ken World literally compares him to Tessai in terms of skill, so, in some Kido at least.
No, kind of because like it said that Tessay
Yeah,
was still superior,
yeah, it's stated like Tessai is superior in like a lot, which is
but
fine.
it's
Like,
like even like
yeah,
it's like even then, right? Like Isaac was practically humiliated Tessay.
yeah, though
Well,
that
not
was
even
like
like
a way when because Aizen was way fucking stronger. Tessai's like skill with Kido is ridiculous. We've seen him like actually pull up like forbidden shit like no effort at all, which we've seen like no one else do. We know he's better than Hachi, and we know what Hachi can do with his shit. well, that just seems like more of Aizen, which is ridiculously more powerful. Which makes sense because Aizen was always like insanely strong. And Ichiro even like talks about this with like, yeah, maybe he was born stronger than everyone else.
I'm thinking here.
Okay.
Um, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like, wouldn't you still be like under the Kyokai Sugetsu illusion?
Mm, I mean, we left that point to the judges. Yeah, that like,
Oh,
but yeah, I mentioned at that point, like, even if I were, like, at that point, I'd have so much AoE that I could just affect the entire area. So, plus,
so now
if we're
this is
close, like, at that point, like, it's not just
yeah. Okay,
gonna
I
be
just wanted to make sure.
like
Ah, okay. So at this book, this is basically like a chasing game.
and Kisuke put the seals on the ice.
Organize and come up with something to take effect on Kisuke.
To actually fucking that'd be cool.
You don't give a damn about it.
I do. I want more hacks for ice. More shit for you, hot and egg.
Perhaps. So I guess like the other one that I have like in mind is to do it is do the spatial freeze keto.
Hmm. Hmm. I'd say again, Kisuke should definitely be able to actually counter that, though that's definitely one of the harder ones. But it seems to be hard to pull
I'm
up, and because of how it's literally a banned keto, and we do know like when they're banned, they're more difficult often. Like they're banned for a reason. The stronger the keto, the more difficult. So, and we know
except
like
like you
Aizen
in your
even notes that a 90 is keto. Like although number 90 is difficult to control without the incantation specifically. That's and we know forbidden keto should be way more difficult. So if like though this is like an earlier Aizen, sure, but he still makes like we don't know exactly how much he grew, right? So like maybe he did get a lot stronger or something, but still like at that point he considered that to be extremely difficult. Oh, okay. Rip. Yeah, sure. Uh, so to in conclusions, I'd or say that Kisuke would more than likely be able to put the seals on Aizen, which would just kill him, as we saw that it can kill stronger versions of Aizen. And he could do this either through his Bankai or physically doing it, along with putting so much pressure to get that chance, along with being able to utilize his own intelligence, skill with Kido, and overall power as well to be able to handle either completely nullify or just overall get around in a way the things Aizen has like, that could work on him. That's my conclusion.
All right, we'll just wait for Combat to type his out.
Yeah, get to
And for the
work.
record, for everyone listening out there, Combat he had to go. Well, in the sense that he can no longer vocally talk, but they decided in text that it was time to go to conclusion. So that was just a clarification for the audience watching. They felt they had enough on the table, and he had to go anyways, like vocally. So he's gonna go ahead and type out his conclusion. That was Bjermen's conclusion. So yeah, we're just chilling.
Yeah, waiting for the Bible to be posted. How many pages is it gonna be, Combat?
Yeah, really fun debate. Really enjoyed listening to this.
Yeah.
Looking forward to giving my thoughts for the
Okay.
judgment.
Yeah, Combat, just post your conclusion. Write your Bible.
Yep. TikTok.
Time is ticking. If you're not finished with your Bible in 5 hours, you're banned.
Everyone's banned if that's the case.
Everyone just leaves. Like, yeah, we're going on vacation.
Facts. Facts. This video was sponsored by Mr. Nomadic. Have you ever become tired of being in a gang or, a biker group? Well, hit up Mr. Nomadic and become a nomad. You know, don't be a specific group, be the nomadic. Be a nomadic yourself. Dial 1-800 nomadic. That's 1-800 nomadic to become a nomad yourself. Okay, so Combat finished his conclusion typing. Reading this right now. All right. So for my judgment, starting off, both of you had advantages, or at least one of you had, when it comes down to it, which I'll get to, one of you did have more advantages ultimately. But I do want to point out, Combat did have, I believe, the slight edge when it comes to like control. Although Bjermen did say they were comparable, but there was like an aspect of it where like Aizen had like a slight edge, but they weren't. It wasn't like a huge edge. And then Combat really didn't contest to that. But nonetheless, he does have that slight little thing, although it may not necessarily amount to much once we move on down the line, because Bjermen brought up how Kisuke would have the intelligence, right? They argued on that for a little bit. And ultimately, Kisuke has the intelligence edge. Again, I don't think it was necessarily like, you could correct me if I'm forgetting, but it wasn't like said that it was like a huge gap, right? It was just like an edge, but it was like
Yeah,
notable, but it wasn't like a huge diff. Yeah, it would just help him. It would still help, but it wasn't like a huge one. It could be a little more than the control edge that combat had. Could be around that range, give or take, or more. But yeah, either way. So I do think that actually would help Kisuke a little more in the long run with the seal tactics that Bjermen brought up and did establish. Yeah, the more the fight drags on, the greater the possibility becomes for Kisuke to do that. And the intelligence edge, while it is not a large one, it is still something to consider that Kisuke is Aizen's intellectual superior at the end of the day in this situation. And with that, there is the illusion stuff to take into consideration. However, Bjermen did point something out, and combat didn't necessarily, contest it directly per se. And that was Bjermen pointed out a couple examples of lesser intellectuals being able to find like some type of a small flaw or being able to recognize in a sense that Aizen did what he did to them, right? And then obviously the intelligence advantage was already established, and the planning that Kisuke brings to the table himself. And again, he's just overall Aizen's intellectual superior in that regard. And there wasn't much more established with the illusions and the hypnosis, etc., after that per se. And even Benjamin brought up something that even if it did do that, right, he even addressed that as well, which again, Combat himself, from what I recall, didn't directly contest against. So I would say it actually does seem, at least overall in this situation, what was brought on the table, what was argued, it does seem like the more likely possibility would be Kisuke ultimately takes victory, and he's going to use the ceiling tactics. Aizen had his couple of little advantages. Combat definitely put up a fight, but I would have to say overall, Bjermen with Kisuke takes victory more often than not with high difficulty easily.